Oh, well, 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 John, we find ourselves back in our usual places this evening. How are you?
Hungry.
Hungry? Been stuck in traffic all day?
Yeah. 3 hours to get down.
Mm-hmm.
10 hours to get back.
That's awful. That's awful indeed.
Just abysmal. Abysmal.
So,
for no apparent reason.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to have a commentary, a live commentary on the Channel 4 leaders' debate between the 5 front runners for Prime Minister. We have Rishi Sunak, John. We have Kemi Badenoch, I think her name is. Or Badenoch. Liz Truss. Penny Mordaunt. And Tom Tug-End-Hat.
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 Tug-End-Hat. Hat tug.
Tug-End-Hat. Yeah, have a tug at this, Tom.
Now, unless somebody can find us a stream of this on YouTube, you're going to get audio only, I'm afraid. So you will be able to hear it, but you won't be able to see it. Because when you try and screen capture Channel 4 News, and no matter what software you use, it's black, isn't it, John? But let me just do a little bit of an audio check, make sure people can hear it, and if you can hear it, John. So,
with the Met Office issuing its first ever red warning for extreme heat.
Yeah, you got that?
Stay tuned. After Liam with the weather, Krishnan Guru-Murthy will be with the 5 people vying to be the next Prime Minister for the very first TV debate of the Tory leadership election.
I hear that.
Why on earth, right, before we get into it, why on earth...
Liam with the weather, Krishnan Guru...
Oh. I thought I'd muted it, but why on earth are we having a leadership debate? It's not exactly like the public are getting to choose this.
Politics is theatre for the common man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I don't disbelieve you at all, John. I agree. It's politics for the it's theatre for the common man, and like I said, there is absolutely no reason for this leadership debate to be actually happening because the public aren't deciding anything. It is literally to stroke their own egos and to tug their own hats. See what I did there, John? See what I did there?
Yes, I saw what you did there.
Yeah. But you will get the audio, so you will be able to hear what these clowns have to say. And I will say this on the off for legal reasons, ladies and gentlemen. What we are about to do is indeed fair use. We are going to give me
the meeting permissions back so as I can record it.
How do I even do that?
Just pretend you're leaving.
Let me just go make host.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Penny Mordaunt's scarf is now the host.
That's it.
That's you, is it?
Yep.
But like I said, what we are doing is fair use. It is absolutely fair use. Whilst we will be playing the audio from the leaders' debate as it happens, we will be providing transformative content in the way of the Chasing Dissent style that people are for some reason coming to love so much. I mean, I got a message earlier from Sonia Poulton simply saying thank you for opening the show in your Dissent style. Oh, we have them. They're here, John.
To lead the Conservatives and replace Boris Johnson at number 10. Tonight, in their first live TV debate, they'll face questions from the public and try to convince us all that they've got what it takes to be Britain's next Prime Minister.
Oh, dramatic music, John.
Good evening. Here we are again, 3 years after Boris Johnson won the right to lead the Tories and then delivered a big election win. The party's over.
We've got Krishnan Guru-Murthy, John, because we would not have had anybody else. I can see him as well.
Who's the right person to lead a post-pandemic Britain through the worst cost of living crisis in living memory? How will they handle soaring inflation, public sector strikes.
Well, they caused the soaring inflation, so how are they going to handle it, John?
A Conservative leader who's best to fight off Keir Starmer and the other parties. Well, tonight, in the first live TV debate, they will face questions from the studio audience made up of floating voters. The people
I could have put a camera on the screen.
Nah, don't worry about it. They can hear it.
They're all in their 40s, and of course, they all want to be Prime Minister. So in alphabetical order, Kemi Badenoch's mother was a university professor. Her father was a GP. She grew up in Nigeria, America, and London, and became an MP in 2017.
Another foreigner.
She resigned as
like
a
Boris?
and local government minister earlier this month, launching
exactly like Boris
with the slogan, "It's time to tell the truth."
What truth?
Penny Mordaunt has worked in public relations and as a magician's assistant. Her father was a paratrooper, her mother a teacher. She's a Royal Navy reservist who says the Tory party needs to be less about the leader, more about the ship. Until Boris
Johnson her book has a foreword from one William S. Gates.
Rishi Sunak's parents came to the UK from East Africa. His father was a GP and his mother a pharmacist. He worked for the investment bank Goldman Sachs and, of course, until recently, was Chancellor of the Exchequer.
As Chancellor, he fucked the economy for the last 2.5 years.
And reunite the country.
Well, look at his job on the economy.
A nurse and a teacher.
Actions speak louder than words, John.
Professor. At university, she was a Liberal Democrat. She worked for oil and telecoms firms. An MP since 2010, she's the current Foreign Secretary and claims she should be trusted to deliver.
Is trying to currently arm Taiwan.
Is the son of a High Court judge and a French mother. He joined the Territorial Army and served with special forces in Iraq.
Tom Tugendhat.
He says he wants his party to make a clean start.
What clean start is that, Tom? What clean start is that? I mean, we don't know who you are, so that doesn't help, does it, John?
So here's how it's going to work. A member of the audience asks a question. Each candidate will have a chance to answer at least one question first. Then it's open to all. I will follow up and clarify. At the end, each of them will make a short closing statement.
A plant
so let's
will ask a question.
A pre-approved question.
Questions from our audience, and we begin with Prasanth. Prasanth, what would you like to ask?
Why should the public trust any of you?
Good question. That's a good question.
The reason that I can be trusted.
Unfortunately, we can't get it. If you can find it streaming anywhere other than Channel 4, we will quickly switch over. But right now, we can't.
Said were impossible. For example, the trade deals after we left the EU, people said it would be difficult to get as good a deals as we did. I secured deals with Japan, with Australia. I delivered what I said I would deliver. As Foreign Secretary, I have taken up the mantle of taking on
trying to start World War III.
Appalling war in Ukraine.
I secured trade deals with Japan. I sourced soy sauce. No, you didn't, Liz. What soy sauce actually is made in the Netherlands.
So I have made progress on all of these issues. I haven't overpromised. I've always said what can be done, what can't be done. And what we now need to do is fix the economy. We're in the worst cost of living crisis, the worst global economic crisis for decades.
And who's responsible for that, Liz?
We need somebody with a proven record of delivery who could go in there, sort it out, promise the public it will be dealt with.
OK, but this wasn't about your record. This was about trust. When did you stand up for integrity and honesty? When did you tell Boris Johnson he was wrong and he had to go?
I'm a loyal person.
Going all in on Boris immediately, Krishnan.
Of course, I raised issues with him in private, but I supported him for the leadership election. I was part of his cabinet, and I owed him my loyalty.
Why?
What I'm saying to you is in every statement I've ever made in government, I'm always somebody who has acted with honesty and integrity. I've delivered what I say I will deliver.
Well, to be honest, she has been very upfront about the will to start World War III. So,
Tom Tugendhat, why should they trust you?
Come on, Tom.
Well, I've been talking about many of these issues now for many months because trust in politics has been collapsing.
Trust in our party do you know the TV presenter Mark Dolan?
We all know that we need a clean start.
Tom Tugendhat looks exactly like Mark Dolan.
We know that many people are asking the right questions, and it's up to us to give the answer. And the answer is...
You're right with somebody else as well.
Now, what I've been calling out and what I've been demonstrating over the last few years is that I'm on fights and I'm willing to call out friends as well as enemies. It's easy to stand up to your enemies. It's sometimes harder to stand up to your friends. We all know that.
Tom Tugendhat, and I have to be careful with my words here, is the only one in this lineup that voted against restrictions. So he's got that in his favour.
To ask themselves, is that what the public really expects? Are you serving the people of the United Kingdom, or are you serving your career? Because that's the real question tonight. That's the real question for all of us. Who is this government for? It's not for us. It's not for any of us. It's actually for you.
Yeah.
This government, this party, only works when it works for you.
Again, why did it take you so long to stand up?
But remember,
even when you said you might
like we said on Rise Brand YouTube this morning, John.
I think I made it very clear, very early.
You hinted.
They say everything that they need to say in order to get elected.
Very early, Christian, that when I spoke out about his record of service as Foreign Secretary and later as Prime Minister, when I spoke out in various debates and in various parliamentary sessions, I think I was very clear from the beginning, because I do own loyalty and I do believe in loyalty.
I give Tug and Hat
but I swore loyalty to our country. And that's
when it comes to the restrictions.
Rishi Sunak, why should they trust you when you were the second most powerful person in the country? You
didn't stand up to Boris Johnson until the very last minute. When did you ever stand up to him about the economy? Or Chris Pincher being Deputy Chief Whip? Pincher by name, Pincher by nature.
The benefit of the doubt, and that became increasingly hard. I got to a point recently where enough was enough.
John?
We all saw what happened with the Chris Pincher situation.
I'm away from it, I'm still alive.
But also, I was due to give a speech with the Prime Minister about the future of our economy and how best to tackle it. And it was clear that we had a big disagreement on that.
It was clear. I was lying through my teeth, like I have been for the last 2 years.
That's why you can trust me.
You can trust me.
The reason I resigned, and we're having those same disagreements here tonight amongst us, is because I wanted to be honest with you and everyone else in the country about the challenges we face economically with inflation.
The challenges he created!
About dealing with
doesn't know the meaning of the word honest.
It wasn't politically convenient for me. And you've seen that play out over the last few days and weeks of this contest. I'm willing to say difficult things. I'm willing to be honest with all of you about what we're going to have to do. Even though
I'm sorry, sir, you have stage 4 liver. I mean, I won't say that next word in case we get.
And that's what you'll get from me in government.
Did you ever go to him?
And responsibility in my approach.
Did you go to him and say the parties have got to stop? You've got to get rid of these sexual abusers?
What? Of course, I've had disagreements with the Prime Minister in private over the course of my time in office. But what I would say is, I'm not going to walk away from everything that the Prime Minister and this government has done over the past few years. I'm proud of the achievements.
What achievements are they, Rishi?
And you remember the paralysis our country faced.
What achievements are they? Look at the cost of living right now because of you.
And most recently standing up to Putin in Ukraine. Those are all achievements that the Prime Minister led that I'm proud to have been a part of. But as I said, it got to a point where enough was enough, and I took the decision to resign. And that was the right thing to do, because I wanted to be honest with you about the challenges we face and be responsible.
About Pincher. It was all about Pincher.
Yeah.
Pincher by name,
you are
Pincher
probably
by
the least well-known of the candidates amongst ordinary voters.
Is she?
Wouldn't the thing that would restore trust, were you to win, be for you to call a general election and say trust me?
I think the most known among the candidates among ordinary voters is.
He says she's the most known.
No one would know who I was, you say, but then
1 second, we may have something.
With trust that you show, you don't just tell. It's a really good question. Why should the public trust us? We haven't exactly covered ourselves in glory.
Hold on, we
and
may
it has,
have something.
On occasion, looked like we were doing this for ourselves. That's not true. But one of the things that we have done wrong is we keep telling people what they want to hear because it's the easy thing to do. It's really hard as a politician.
Let me take this away from you for a minute. I apologise. So we may have
breaking news.
No, we may have a way to watch it.
Why I opened my campaign by saying it's time we tell the truth.
Let me try and share my screen with you.
I'm not doing this for a job. I'm doing this because there are things that need to be said.
Well, hold on, let me pull it up.
One of the reasons why I resigned from my job
yes, we can see it.
I take collective responsibility.
Give me a second. We can see it. Oh no, it's gone away now. Oh, for God's sake, it's gone away. I don't know. Let me bring the audio back on this one.
What I want to say, and I think that I have things that need to be
Let me sort this out.
Penny Mordaunt, should they trust you?
Well, I think it's worth saying why this issue is so important, because it's not just about people up here vying for your vote. The challenges that we are facing right now are very grave indeed.
Can't see her.
And unless we can actually get our country to pull together,
do you remember
unless we can get people to take a risk and set up a new business, unless we can get
should be in jodhpurs and riding boots
things for their community and pull together, we are not going to get ourselves out of this situation.
She's just got that whole demeanour about her. She should be strolling about.
Opportunities that are there after we've left the EU.
That's why trust is important.
Right, let me try this again.
It's a bond between all of us. It's a bond between
the second I pull it onto the main screen,
the charity sector,
it says watching HQ with no ads, click here to subscribe.
We really do have to now step up and
Don't
lead.
pull it onto the main screen, just share it where it is.
Create the environment where people
let me pull it down onto the little screen.
Do those things in their communities and move their communities on. If we don't have trust, then that won't happen. Why you can trust me is because I have spoken truth to power. I had the opportunity to serve at a higher office in this government. I've always done my answer, but I've never found doing that incompatible with serving in a government and doing my
There's been a massive hit job on you in the newspapers today, hasn't there?
Okay, my apologies. I'm just sorting this out.
Do you trust all the other candidates to be Prime Minister?
Look, we're all responsible for our own campaigns, and I take it as a big fat compliment. No one wants to run against me.
And it's gone.
Yeah, okay.
My apologies about this.
Our own campaigns, and I take it as a big fat compliment. No one wants to run against me. But the campaign I'm running, people can see, is not doing that. I think it's incredibly important if we are going to rebuild trust.
Do you trust
we
them?
Stop that sort of thing. I would suggest to candidates that they adopt that model. We are here not just to win this contest. We're here to win an
You're
election.
not saying you do trust them. We all know that. I mean, Liz Truss, have you had the dogs out attacking Penny Mordaunt in the newspapers?
I'm running an entirely positive campaign, which is about the great challenges we face and what we need to do to deliver for the people of Britain, because we are facing a cost of living crisis, families are struggling, and this campaign is about how do we fix the economy, how do we get Britain growing again. That's
well, it's not by arming Taiwan and starting World War III, Liz.
Fantastic leadership race with brilliant people, and I think this
is about trust.
I think this shows. Well, I do trust all of the people who are on this platform with me.
I
think they're fantastic colleagues.
Do you, John?
And I think this shows the best of the Conservative
Party. Sunak is a snake.
You trust them all.
He started the whole thing.
This is a fantastic group of people. Every single one up there. I'm privileged to be amongst them.
Javid,
they
who
offer something exceptional to our party and to government.
And at the same time, and said he's not coordinated. It wasn't coordinated,
John. In your cabinet if you're elected Prime Minister?
I don't think it would be appropriate for any of us to start speculating.
I'm not saying what jobs they'd get.
No, but I think the principle is wrong. But I can tell you wholeheartedly, I do trust all the people up here. We've all worked together. We're all on the same team. And I know tonight will be about trying to tease out the differences between us. But we're ultimately all part of the same Conservative family. And when this is over, we'll all be on the same team, working for all of you, because that's the most important thing.
Tom Tugendhat, is the way to crack the trust problem to have somebody who wasn't part of
we need
the
to make sure we don't
Is that
lead
why
our
you're
country
here
down
tonight?
that path. Yes, I think
shouldn't trust former cabinet ministers and Boris Johnson's government.
I think I'm ready to serve my colleagues here in the country, and I'm ready to lead it. And I think we need a government that's fresh, that's clean, and ready to change the way.
Let's try this one more time
in this country.
Right. Okay. Just before we conclude this first part, I want to ask you all a very simple question: yes or no? Well, we started with you about trust actually, but what do you trust them all? Would you have them all in your cabinet?
I do trust them all. I trust Tom, because when I was really ill, when I'm pregnant,
can you see
he
it,
looked
John?
after me in Parliament. I trust Liz and Rishi, they were both my secretaries of state.
Let me change.
Penny, I don't know as well. I haven't worked closely with her.
Let me change it.
But I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt, which I think is.
Oh, so there is a doubt. Okay, well that's interesting.
No, there is no doubt. But I do think that we should approach everything with an open mind and not start with the worst intentions when we see people.
Okay, well let's get one question: yes or no.
I think we're there.
Is Boris Johnson honest?
Thank you, Spencer.
Sometimes.
Is Boris Johnson honest?
I can see it. I can't hear it, but I can see it.
I think
okay, that's my fault. Give me a minute.
Who has
just yes or no will do.
No, I'm not doing a yes or no because I think
where is it?
It would be
I can see it.
It would
there
be wrong
it is.
to do that. There have been some really severe issues, and I think that he has paid a price for that.
I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt for as long as possible, and ultimately I reached the conclusion that I couldn't, and that's why I resigned.
You undermined him.
That's the question. Yes or no?
There was a number of reasons that I resigned, but trust and honesty was part of that.
Liz Truss, is he honest?
He has been very clear himself that he made mistakes in government. But he had a huge range of achievements.
Mistakes?
Is he an honest
Brexit,
man?
dealing with COVID.
What mistakes would they be, John?
He himself has said that some of the statements issued by numbers were not 100% accurate. So I take that at face value.
Tom Tugendhat, is Boris Johnson an honest man?
Why are they applauding? For God's sake.
We are going to stay with trust. We are going to stay with trust.
Did he just say
because
no?
I'll say that he did deliver on the promise.
Okay, well, we'll get to that if you want to support him. Fine, we'll get to that later. We are going to stay with trust because it was by an overwhelming margin the thing our audience of floating voters wanted to talk about tonight. But we're going to take a very short break. Back in 90 seconds, you can trust me.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell him to piss off. Right.
So what have we seen so far, John?
Well, I don't know what happened there. Why did they all start applauding?
I didn't hear. I think Tuggin Hat just said no. I simply said no. Now we're watching some adverts for Channel 4. So should I get them out of the way in case we're
don't fucking move it because you'll end up with.
No, I'm not going to stop screen sharing. Wrong. I'm just going to pull it down so that people can't see it. Oh no, I don't want that.
I wouldn't bother.
All right, I'll just rejig the screen. So I'll put us right in the middle of it. There we go. Right now, it has been 5 duplicitous liars standing on stage, stroking their own egos.
No, hold on a minute. You say duplicative liars, right?
That's
well, they've not really said anything yet to lie. I mean, that's quite a charge you've made there.
Well, I know.
I mean, okay,
Rishi Sunak.
Yeah, well, Sunak has a long history of lying, but I mean, really, what's the rest of them done or said that would ask you to label that against them?
Become MPs, John.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, no, let's be serious, really. I mean, do you think they are all completely untrustworthy, or do you think there's any modicum of decency in any of them at all?
Nope. Oh, we're back, John. We're back. I've got to move us out of the way, put us in there, and bring Krishnan back.
Debate, then everyone can join in. Well, we're sticking with the subject of trust and transparency for the moment. Our next question comes from Eliza Moore, who works for a marketing company. Eliza,
and submitted her question last week.
What will you do to make a clean break with Boris Johnson?
Penny Mordaunt.
What does that even mean?
Well, I think we all stood together on a manifesto that we've yet to deliver. And I think that actually part of restoring trust is to deliver on that manifesto.
Yes.
All the issues we have with COVID and really ensure that public services are delivering.
Do we have with COVID?
People can't get to see a GP or a dentist when they want. They want the basics
That's
to
your
run.
fault.
That is part of restoring
You were
trust.
in government.
But
you're
I think
all
we
in
do
government.
need
You're
to set
all in a
out
party that's
a
running
new
the
modern
country.
Agenda.
Right. It is your fault.
I'm not a legacy candidate in this contest. I'm focused on the future. And one reason why we did Brexit was because of that future. And I think that whether people voted to leave or remain, they want us to get on and deliver those opportunities. So I think it is about a fresh start, but it is also about continuing that narrative of why we left the EU and delivering on public services.
Kemi Badnoch.
Saying the right things.
The way that we run government, I would appoint people because they were talented, not because they were loyal. I would trust even the people who did not support me to work with me.
What about if they were diverse?
And I think that would be a clean break.
She doesn't like the diversity agenda. She's very much against it.
I think, again, as I said earlier, we try and tell people what they want to hear, and we try and please everybody.
Yeah.
So there won't be any more cakeism with me. We'll be serious about the challenges that face the country.
Those are big criticisms. Are you saying this government basically rewarded loyalty?
Of course they did.
Promoted people who supported Boris Johnson.
I think loyalty was prized more. Loyalty is a very important thing in politics. You can't have people.
In which reality does this guy exist?
But I think sometimes there wasn't enough trust of colleagues who had
the reality where he hates the government for the sake of hating the government.
This is a question about what you would actually do, how you would change this and stop these things happening again. Tom, Tugendhat.
Well, Eliza, the first thing I'm going to do is run. That's why I'm here, because we need a break. We need a break from the government of the past. We need a break from those who sat around the table, because what we need is a break from those Johnson years, and that's why I'm here. But we need also a break in the way that government has been done. We need a new ministerial standards commissioner. We need
a whole new system, ladies and gentlemen. We need a whole new system.
You won't get a new system.
Not under these people, no.
Not here to serve themselves. They're not here for any other purpose than to make our government, our country, our people more prosperous, more safe, and happier.
Saying the right things.
Rishi Sunak, what would you actually do?
Yeah, they're all going to say the right things. They're going to say what they want and what they have to get elected.
Hold on. Said you can't have your cake and eat it. And when it comes to the economy, we've got some challenges ahead. You
created those challenges.
Their honesty about those challenges and a responsible approach to deal with it, even if it's not politically convenient. We can't keep pretending that difficulties don't exist. We can wish them away and try and have everything we want. That's not how life works. You know that, and your Prime Minister should be honest with you about that. And I think the second thing is we probably need to talk less.
Says the man that built a leisure centre on his grounds.
Great, and there's lots of announcements, lots of things that we want to do. But what you deserve is a government that
he's running off to go down to London, go to the debate
in detail, actually delivering it so that all your lives are better.
What the fuck are you talking about?
And the third thing, I agree with Kemi, you build a team around you that represents the best of our party, drawing on all its talents and traditions.
Yeah, but does anybody watching this right now trust any of those people to do that?
Deliver what we said we deliver.
This is the woman trying to start World War III by arming Taiwan against China.
Spades in the ground.
That's the reality
here.
As we
level up, they need to see their tax bills coming down. They need to see their energy bills coming down. They need practical solutions to the issues that they face now.
What are those practical solutions? Tell us what they are.
Overpromise, but focused on delivery, and I've demonstrated that in every job I've had in government. I would also be open and honest and transparent. I think we need to talk.
The most recent thing Liz Truss has done is said she would arm Taiwan, which would inevitably start World War III.
Before we do them.
This woman is dangerous. She's very dangerous.
In including everybody.
And thankfully, I don't think she's got a chance.
I'm not a cliquey person.
Let's hope I don't eat my words there.
A group of friends. I believe in meritocracy. I believe in promoting the best people to the job. And I believe in being very, very clear
but none of you people there are the best people for the job.
And then delivering it and doing it. And I think it's only by doing things. It's only by
Spencer says in the chat, I'm just waiting for Truss to say the words strong and stable.
Tom Tugendhat, do you think there's any problem, having said the only one here who was prepared to say Boris Johnson was dishonest, is there any problem with having a Prime Minister
willing to tell the truth
who's been found to have broken the law?
Of course there's a problem with it. Of course there's a problem with people being asked to obey rules that those who make them don't obey. Of course that's a problem. We all know it's a problem. This isn't really a secret, I'm telling you, I'm afraid. This is absolutely clear and obvious. And we see it all over the place. When we talk to people, everybody's talking about it. Because trust really matters.
No, the real elephant in the room, and I have to be careful with my words, obviously, is that why weren't they afraid?
Together, frankly. It's why we're able to rely on essential services like the ambulances and the doctors. It's why we're able to rely on the police and the army. It's why I chose to serve
That's the question you need to ask yourself.
In Parliament, and so of course it matters, Chris. It really matters.
I mean, he's talking about you, Rishi Sunak. I mean, explain why it's okay to have a Prime Minister who has been found to break the COVID laws.
Yeah, it was.
Why is it okay to have a Prime Minister that made laws he knew
for it again? I wish it
were
had never
not
happened.
necessary.
The reason I was in that cabinet room.
That's the real question. Somebody ask it for God's sake.
Working on COVID and working incredibly hard to make sure that we did things like the furlough scheme.
Working incredibly hard
jobs, that we supported businesses,
to make sure
families, the NHS and other public services,
that we absolutely destroyed the economy.
I was in there every day in the same room
and caused the cost of living crisis.
Working on that. That's what I was doing.
That we are currently going through.
If I'm Prime Minister, I will apply that same work ethic and diligence and deliver the same type of change and the same type of interventions that benefit this country.
Good enough for you, Kemi Badenoch?
Yes, that is good enough. I worked with Rishi very closely in the Treasury. I was a junior Treasury Minister there, and I do think that what he has said is right, so yes.
OK, can I just turn to the audience for a moment? Just get a show of hands. From what you've heard so far, do you trust politicians right now? Put your hand up if you trust politicians.
Oh.
Goodness, right. Penny Mordaunt, let's try and clear up some of the things that have been sort of swirling around about you today. Because there have been all sorts of allegations made about you having a problem either with your memory or what the truth was about what you did in government.
For fair use reasons, I do have to keep adding commentary because I can't just let it play out.
People say that you were in favour of self-ID, that you freely said a trans woman is a woman. But you kind of redefined your position now and said, no, you weren't in charge, in favour of self-ID and trans women aren't the same as...
I can't imagine why people are not comprehending what I say and have been regurgitating this issue for weeks and weeks. But
That's
I'm happy
because
to
you changed your tune.
My position
just because you
and
changed your
evidence
tune.
to back it up. So I took through a consultation looking at the Gender Recognition Act. I've never been in favour of self-ID. I would have made the system much better, but I would not have divorced it from healthcare. I'm a woman. I'm a biological woman. If I had a mastectomy, I would still be a woman.
I believe you are, yes, Penny.
In every cell in my body. I'm also legally a woman. And some people who are
These
born
things are accurate,
male
yes, Penny.
Go through a process and are issued at the end of that process with a legal document in their new gender. But that does not mean they are identical to me. They are legally recognised in law, but they are not biological women. I don't believe that we should be on an equal footing in sport, and raised that issue 4 years ago.
Good call.
And I also had concerns about the volume of young girls going into those services.
Kemi Badenoch, do you accept Penny Mordaunt's account, her memory of what happened and what her position was?
I find it difficult too, because when I took over as Equalities Minister in 2020, the policy that was being pushed was self-ID. So I don't understand how that would have changed unless someone else did it in between. So I didn't work with Penny, but my understanding was that the previous minister who had done the role had wanted self-ID. And that was something that I reversed with Liz.
That's not correct, and this will all be on record in government.
It is on record.
Right. So well, Liz Truss, you were also involved in this as the Equalities Minister. Who's right?
Well, I'm not going to go around criticising
Penny
other
Mordaunt's
candidates
stance on
race.
trans people.
What I will be clear about is I started in the Women and Equalities job. There was a plan to move forward on self-ID.
Exactly.
I believe in women's rights. I also believe that transgender people should be treated with respect.
Exactly.
So what I did is I changed the outcome of that work so that we were able to make the process simpler and kinder, but not move ahead with self-ID, which I think is the right position.
Also. You know, I find myself agreeing with Liz Truss.
You know, domestic violence shelters need to be protected for women, but at the same time, everybody should be free to live their lives as they want and be treated with respect. So,
oh my God, Liz Truss saying something sensible.
Okay, we're going to take
I can't disagree with that.
And take a quick break. We'll be back very soon. Don't go away.
So what about Tom? Has he weighed in on the trans issue yet?
No, he has not. And just one more time, for legal reasons, what we are doing here today is fair use. We are providing commentary as we go. Unfortunately, we can't sit there and just let it play out in full, because if we did, then we'd just be broadcasting copyrighted material. We have to make it transformative, so we will be providing commentary throughout. It seems to me that Penny Mordaunt has had multiple positions when it comes to trans people. 1 minute she was trans women are women and in favour of self-ID, and then the next minute she's now saying, you know, trans women are they're something.
So what are you saying? Are you saying she's a version of Hunter Biden?
I mean, I'm not really saying that, John.
Right. So,
but she is lying her ass off, as Shalina said.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she will be. The question is,
yeah,
what are they trying to do here? Is the Tory party trying to find out who's acceptable to the public, or are they just providing?
You say the public. You say the public. So they just asked the people in the room. Show of hands, who trusts politicians at this point? And nobody put their hand up, right? And I'm pretty sure that's all rehearsed, that's scripted, and then by the time we get to the end of it, they'll say it again, and one or two people put their hands up, and the thing is...
No, I know that, right, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, are the Tory party trying to get a sense of who's electable? Forget the studio. The studio audience mean nothing, right?
Perhaps.
But where this will play out is in the ratings.
They're monitoring social media, I would imagine.
Yeah.
More than anything.
So that's where it'll play out.
Yeah.
The studio audience they're just part of the theatre, you know. They're not an audience.
No.
They're actors as well.
Well, all of these questions, carefully selected questions, submitted way in advance. Nobody's going to stand up and give an off-the-cuff question that takes these people by surprise.
No, of course they won't.
Their answers, they would have had the questions in advance. They know what they're answering to. Their answers are scripted, and you can tell that their answers are scripted, right? They're delivering them clearly. £7.84 says in the chat, they are crap questions. Yeah, they are. They are lowball questions. Although we've seen a little bit of bickering over Penny Mordaunt's memory. We've had Tom Tug End Hat. What's he been doing? He's been calling Boris Johnson a liar, and that's true. Boris Johnson is, in fact, a liar, John. But then, are any of these people honest? I don't know. I think we're returning now, so I shall put us over to the side, and I shall bring the sound back up, John.
Indeed.
Oh, no, we've still got a Channel 4 advert. I'll put us back in the middle. If you are enjoying the show, if you are enjoying our little look and commentary at this, you could always subscribe. Make sure you do subscribe, like, and share, because I can see a few of you watching over on YouTube there. So give it a like, give it a share, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Anyway, we now are back, so I shall bring us back into the fold here. So,
Channel 4. Let's see now what our audience of potential Conservative voters thinks so far. I want to get whether you think our politicians understand the scale of the cost of living crisis.
The cost of living crisis they created.
Well, I'm a head teacher of a secondary school, and what we have seen
no
system is
I have no idea about the cost of living crisis.
Daily tasks. Our students come into us at 11 and 12. They've never been out of a Conservative.
Imagine when we were in school. Well, you before me, but imagine a head teacher having pink hair.
That's their reality. They are pushed absolutely to the limit at the moment. The disadvantage gap has grown.
Put it this way, as students, we would have been
over the last 7 years in particular, but also over the last 12. And actually, when we talk about people being pushed, families being pushed, we often talk about a vulnerable group. Actually, everybody is vulnerable at the moment. The cost of fuel, the cost of food, the cost of texts, the cost of resources.
Okay.
Thank
you very much.
That you created.
How about you? I mean, do
you
you feel they get it? What's your experience?
I think so.
I started renting in London a couple of years back. My salary hasn't
gone
up with
what's
inflation.
Going on with his face?
Food's going
it's
up,
the eyebrows, man.
And I'm now having to consider moving home with my parents. Because I'm
he looks like he's made of plastic.
He literally does.
Let's get a question.
I just started renting in London a few years ago, so you're going to be paying a ridiculous amount of money for your renting.
Sharon Williams is a full-time carer.
Hi, Sharon.
Sharon, I mean, do you want to just tell us about your experience first?
Oh, I'm a full-time carer with my dad looking after my mum. My question to you, to all of you, is we're hearing about tax cuts. Do they come at the expense of public sector cuts as well?
Oh, for fuck's sake, spit it out, Sharon.
That's a very
what does that even mean?
And it's an important question.
Yeah, no, it's a fair question.
What we've seen in recent years is taxes rising to the highest level in 70 years. So we all feel the squeeze. And it's part of the reason why cost of living is such a big issue. Because actually the government, the state, is taking more and more of what you earn.
Absolutely.
And as a Conservative, I'd like you to keep more of that. Because it allows you to choose how you spend your money. But public services are essential to all of us.
Stop income
and Sharon,
tax.
what you're doing with your family is incredibly,
cut the green levy.
Laudable.
Get rid of it.
What you're doing, looking after your mother and serving alongside your father, is incredibly impressive. But the state needs to be there with you. And so what we need to do is to make sure that the public services are there
to get out of our lives.
That's why we need to rethink
why does the state
how
need to be there with us?
You tell me, John. You tell me.
And out to the regions, because actually what we need is primary care.
Are you monitoring the BNT chat, John?
Doctors empowered to take decisions.
Is there people in it?
We need ambulance drivers.
Hi,
able
BNT.
To take action for you. The moment so much of it is so centralised.
Cut the council tax, says £7.84.
Beyond the centre and making sure it reaches into your home.
But what are you going to cut?
Where it really matters.
What are you going to cut is the question.
Well, the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reintroducing the 4-hour A&E and referral target.
Imagine if I'd done it.
Leadership to account for delivering it. Because what we really need to see, thank you, what we really need to see is that level of delivery. Now, we know we've got great doctors. That's not the question. We know we've got fabulous ambulance drivers and paramedics. That's not the question. The question is about the leadership of the NHS and making sure it delivers for you.
Cut all the middle management.
And I know that we can do it.
He is
with
right.
Right leadership and with a return to the service ethos.
But once again, is he just saying what he needs to say?
Sure that we get that delivered now.
Yeah.
I know I'm ready to serve and ready to lead, and I know there are many people who are ready to serve you too, Sharon.
Liz Truss, you're the standard bearer for tax cuts.
Oh, I'm getting a warm
First of all, I
glow from
understand how much people are struggling at the moment.
You're not supposed to get a warm glow from any of them, John.
To put up national insurance.
I'm warming to
it's
Tom.
Wrong to be charging people
Liz is like, she's like a Madame Tussauds waxwork.
We need to help people now.
That's trying to start World War III.
Prime Minister,
oh, she's just
I would immediately reverse the national insurance increases, which I called out in Cabinet. I was opposed to them in Cabinet. I'd also remove the green energy levy so that people have more affordable energy bills. Because I understand how difficult it is for people across the country right now. And I would pay for that by spreading the debt that we accumulated during COVID over a longer period. Our debt, our government debt, is lower than Canada, it's lower than the US, it's lower than
Canada's
Japan.
only got 20 million
it's simply
people.
Wrong.
The US has got 300 million people.
And when we are able to put more money into debt because COVID is a 1 in 100 year event. We need to pay for it over the long term. I think it's wrong that ordinary people are bearing the brunt of all of that cost of COVID so soon.
You created it!
Yeah. Sharon, your question is excellent. Because public services
Hold on, let's listen to Dishy.
Condescending prat.
And there isn't
let's listen to Dishy. Come on.
Than the NHS for our country. And that's why after the pandemic, I had to make an incredibly difficult decision.
Absolutely.
A particularly difficult decision.
He's got
for
some
me as a
sound bites there on his
conservative
bit of
who believed in
paper.
no taxes. But the NHS is under enormous pressure. The backlogs, many of your family will be on a waiting list to get a cancer treatment or surgery.
Because we put them on there by closing the services.
The NHS, the amazing doctors and nurses we have, give them the resources they need to help get those treatments done, to help improve all the problems that we saw
the economy that he purposely,
it was
knowingly
inconvenient for me.
decimated.
And even though I'm now getting attacked for it, and many people up here want to reverse it, I wanted to make sure that the NHS, our #1 priority, was properly funded. And if I'm Prime Minister, you can be assured that the NHS will continue to be my #1 public service priority.
The middle
why is this idea that you want tax to stick on the debt a fairy tale?
I cut funds to the NHS because they get too much money.
There's no such thing as COVID
debt. There's no incentive for them to do things properly because they get too much money.
And the answer to too much borrowing,
they get £1 billion every 3 days, the NHS does. And probably more than that at this point as well.
As a proportion of our GDP,
they are properly funded. It's just
US
they don't know how to spend
Canada
it.
Is, than Japan is.
Managed.
They have taken a sensible decision that at this time of a global economic crisis, just when we're trying to help businesses grow,
economic crisis,
just when we're trying to help families, it is not the right time to put up taxes. I believe they're taking the right approach, and we should take a similar approach.
Decision.
So I think everyone.
Did they remove Justin Trudeau?
But the #1 challenge we face here, the #1 challenge is inflation. You guys all see it, right? All your bills every week, every month, they're going up and up and up.
Because of
the
you.
The most pressing economic priority for the new Prime Minister and the new government is to grip inflation. We cannot make it worse. Inflation is the enemy that makes everybody poorer. It erodes your savings. It erodes your living standards. It means that those of you that have mortgages will see your interest rates go up higher and higher. So I don't think the responsible
I could open my wallet
right
There's
now
not even a pound in there at the moment, John.
Unfunded spree of borrowing and more debt. That will just make inflation worse. It will make the problem longer.
Let's be clear. We have inflation because of our monetary policy, that we haven't been tough enough on the monetary supply.
We have inflation because of quantitative easing. Quantitative easing created to pay for furlough. That is why we have inflation. Do not listen to any of these.
I have to be honest, but borrowing your way out of inflation isn't a plan, it's a fairy tale.
I think it is wrong to put taxes up because that is what we're talking about.
Quantitative easing your way out of no money is a fairy tale, yet you did it.
There are no solutions, there are only trade-offs. Every decision we make has a cost somewhere else. And we do make these decisions with the best intent, but each one is going to have difficulties that we need to work out. I completely understand where you're coming from, Sharon. I lost my father at the beginning of this year, and he was very, very ill, and he needed quite a lot of caring. I couldn't cope. It required so much help and attention. And I don't understand how so many people cope being long-term carers. I think that we need to pay
and they're treated like utter shit, by the way. They get 60 quid a week
workers,
on carers allowance.
We need to treat them with more prestige. Those jobs are so crucial to delivering the care that we need in an ageing population. But one other thing that I do...
Sorry, this is a question about cuts and public services.
Yes, let me get to that. The point about cutting the public sector is that you don't necessarily have to do that if you have growth. The argument about tax cuts sometimes sounds as if we're talking about tax cuts.
Where does the growth come from?
Where's the growth coming from?
That is not why we have them. Tax cuts are there to let people keep more of their own money so that they can deal with inflation.
The growth can come from spending if people have got more money.
It's not so that we can cut public services. And there are other ways to do. And there are other ways to do growth. It's just that the decisions that we take have trade-offs, and we need to be very careful how we do them.
Inflation is a problem.
There are
it is, but
it's too late.
To the issue that was
well, yeah, when they continue printing more money to put it in,
based on tax and spend. It's based on
they made inflation, right?
Although I have put forward some immediate targeted support to help with the cost of living. I've not done what other candidates have done and said that I will reduce a load of taxes, including the national insurance, reversing that, because that is linked as our plan to social care. And the bit we haven't really done on that policy is work up that plan on social care. We haven't even done the work with the insurance sector on which it is based. There are, though, lots of things that we can do to alleviate the pressures locally in health and social care. I'll just give you, I know it's short on time.
How is she one of the front runners?
For GPs and dentists,
how is she?
Right,
rubbish.
So far,
needing to see a
I'm
GP
I'm preferring.
When someone doesn't show up for an appointment, of which there are millions
every
year, people could just draw down.
My choice would be Guy Fawkes arrives in the studio
we'll come
right
to the
now.
NHS in a moment, but you know, where's this growth coming from? What are you going to do to suddenly transform the British economy?
We asked that before you,
Krishnam. There are many things
Krishnam.
that we can do, and this is what is going to deliver the Brexit dividend for us.
OnlyFans isn't going to cut it,
Penny. Again,
Rishi's kind of nodding along.
But we actually have to tackle the barriers to investment coming in, things that are stopping innovation. We have to put real incentives in place which are going to make things happen that would otherwise.
But I don't understand still. When we get to the adverts, I'll talk about this
payback
more.
For that.
Okay. But
many things.
Something I really don't understand.
Really
I said it at the beginning, I'm going to say it again.
And those are some of the things that I've been doing at the Department
Can I just
Trade.
clarify something? Because Penny, I thought you said you hadn't promised tax cuts. I thought you had said that there should be a dramatic reduction in VAT on petrol.
She did say that.
Another go at Penny's memory.
Or the income tax.
She did say that.
I think that's been costed at something like £15 billion.
It pains me to agree with
how are you
Dishy.
going to pay for that?
So I have done two things.
He's an arsehole.
One is on raising income thresholds.
And everybody knows he's an arsehole, and he's being an arsehole in front of everyone.
Yes,
but he could well be our next Prime Minister.
VAT
he probably will
on fuel
be.
at the pump, saving the average family about £10 every time they fill up. We have now, Rishi, got to do some targeted support for people.
Get rid of the green levy, slash VAT, reduce the size of the state all round.
And I love the way we frame these debates. On the income thresholds, on the income thresholds rising with inflation, this is about forecasts. It's their
Shalini
money.
reckons Penny's going to win.
It's Chequers' money.
That's exactly
and I'm not.
right.
I'm not going to, take more money off people than we need to. But these are limited, timely, targeted support. What I'm not doing
limited.
In this
so we'll make everything more expensive for you again soon.
But even the pledges you've made, I think, are double-digit billion-pound promises. And the point is, the best way to help everyone, the best way to make sure that they have money in their pocket is to get a grip of inflation. And that should be everybody's priority, because that's the thing that is going to erode
you should have stayed on as Chancellor then.
I know people are going to need more help this autumn.
You shouldn't have.
People need help
you
now,
shouldn't have done the furlough scheme. You shouldn't have closed the economy. If you'd not done these things, we wouldn't be seeing this issue.
Nations in terms of our tax competitiveness in this country, that cannot be allowed to happen.
The fact is, you cannot tax your way to growth. I think it is wrong that we are putting up corporation tax just at this vital time in the economic cycle when we're trying to attract
tiny,
investment
Vaughan.
around our country. What I want to see is low tax zones all around the country, so we can encourage people to come and set up businesses, build houses, invest in Britain, and that requires not just a low tax rate, but also doing the supply side reforms, Solvency II, MIFID,
should we call him
liberating money
Mini
from our
Rishi?
pension funds so we can invest it in high-tech businesses. We need more unicorns. We need more decacorns.
Did you just say we need more unicorns?
Not raising taxes. This is completely
where are you
the
on
wrong
this
time
debate,
to do that.
Tom?
Well, I have to say I'm slightly surprised because I was the only one who didn't vote for the rise in national insurance, and it now seems everybody agrees with me.
Tom's got himself another round of applause.
What I would have done is I would have used the £30 billion underspend, forgive me, in the OBR forecasts, which is there. And that's there because the interest rates...
That's causing a laugh.
But that's there.
We've got to be honest with people. Look, Sharon's question was about public services. And are we going to fund public services like the NHS properly?
Yes,
and you know what? When the NHS needed the resources to tackle these unbelievable backlogs to reform social care, I did a difficult thing to make sure that the NHS got the money it needed.
What did you do? Because they're not working for the people.
To be fair to you, Rishi, what we did is we had a long conversation about it, and you set out your position, and I asked why on earth this was going to be necessary, and you told me because the boss wanted it. Now, the reality is this is a decision that I didn't support because it's a tax on jobs at a time when we need growth.
The Prime Minister did want to tackle the COVID backlogs, and he was right to want to
Let him just finish.
actually. So I did support him in doing that. But it's also right that when we want to do things, we have to pay for them. You guys know that. Everyone watching this debate knows that you don't get something for nothing. If we are going to invest in public services, then we do have to pay for those.
Tom's done.
It's also true, however, that when I go around the country and I talk to businesses, they don't talk to me about corporation tax. They don't talk to me about taxation quite as much as I thought they would. What they actually talk to me about is predictable investment. So what I've been talking about is full expensing, permanent full expensing, which allows businesses to invest. To invest in training, to invest in all of us, to invest in the machinery that grows productivity and makes wages go up, to invest in the United Kingdom, to invest in our future. That's what I really want to see in businesses. That's what I hear from businesses when I talk to them. And you know what?
So what are the chat over on Brand YouTube thinking of Tom Tug-End Hat?
And delivering the results that we all need.
Just finally, you wrote a piece saying you wanted your
fair enough.
Cuts to be broad but focused today. Isn't broad and focused the opposite? I mean, how do you do that?
Hold on.
Why did you jump to the not rushing to promise everything
I don't know.
He's been told to.
But actually making sure that it covers a broad
He's been told
move. Calm it down. Krishna, calm it down.
No,
move it along.
I think it was probably more. You're making Tom look good, and we're supposed to be holding up Rishi or Penny here. Just move it on.
Doing lots of different taxes.
Okay, you're an engineer, not an economist.
That's true. I am an engineer, and the way I think about these things is looking at the problem you're trying to solve. I'm a systems thinker, and it's the truth is that there will always be difficult decisions. It's very easy for Tom to say, I didn't vote for this, I didn't vote for that. He didn't have any responsibility. It's easy to sit at the back of the class and tell everybody what they're doing is wrong. When he has to be a minister, he's going to have to take difficult decisions.
I think I'm responsible for the British people who voted for me.
Okay.
They voted for all of us.
We can also do some things for free. And I hope at a moment of unity, everyone agree that if we
I think I've got a responsibility to the people who voted for me.
We would dramatically reduce the costs for businesses on being tax compliant. So there's lots of things that we can do still that don't cost a penny.
Okay, more on this after the break. Just stay with us.
Okay. This is degenerating into an American-style sort of presidential debate.
It's what it is, isn't it?
Well, it is, and the low blows are coming. And once again, Chrissy says he's on fire. Shalini says, go Tom. They're loving Tom Tug-End Hat in the chat over on Twitch, to be honest. What about you lot over on YouTube? I can see like 20 of you watching over there. So what do you guys think to this so far? Do any of you think Tom Tug-End Hat is the guy for you, or is Dishy Mini Rishi?
Well, the BNT chat people think that Tom's got lack of diversity.
Yeah, well, that's obvious.
Yeah. Well, he's white and he's male. Well, I assume he's male.
So what are they going to do? They're going to at the end of the show, they're going to be like, "Can we have a round of applause to see who's got the best? Let's do the applauseometer and see who gets the loudest applause." But still, but going back to my original question from the start of tonight, why is this on? Because the general public do not get to vote for these people.
I'm telling you, I think the Tory party are trying to find out who's electable. And it's not Rishi Sunak.
It's definitely not Rishi Sunak, because Tom Tugendhat, or Tugendhat, or whatever the hell his surname is, has managed to rile him up quite well, I would say.
Yes, I like that. He pushed his buttons and he let him expose himself. That was good.
Do you know what? And unfortunately, I have to say some positives about some of these people, right? Well, that person.
You can't handle the truth.
But the thing is, what I'm really liking about his performance is the shit-eating grin on his face when he's doing it.
Yeah.
Because he knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And remember, one more time, folks, Tom Tugendhat is the only person on that panel who voted against restrictions.
And against the increase in the national insurance.
So he's the only one who, in his voting record, appears to have a better interest in the welfare of the economy and the country at large.
Yeah.
But we all have to remember here, inflation, don't let them fool you. The reason we have inflation is the furlough scheme. They printed billions and billions and billions and billions of pounds, funny money as we call it, and they pumped it out to people's bank accounts.
And it's got nothing
backing
at
it.
all. Yeah, but it's got nothing at all to do with Putin.
So,
this is all self-inflicted.
So we have a comment over from YouTube. Monsieur Lewop says, "I'm liking Tom more than I thought I would, but he is playing to the audience a bit." I think they're all trying it. I think we are about to return, but carry on, John.
Yeah, he probably is, but you've got to a degree. But I must admit, I like him, and I certainly like the way he's handling Rishi. I don't like the way Penny is. She's just
Yeah, I don't like Penny.
There's nothing direct about her. She's a
we're back.
Welcome back to the Channel 4 Conservative Leaders Debate. Let's have another question, this time from Rajan Bilku, who is from Birmingham.
Rajan. Hi, Rajan.
Oh, we're getting the diversity, aren't we?
Paying their energy bills. What will you do to help when prices increase further in the winter?
There is a very easy answer to this.
Rajan, thank you for your question.
Legislate against the rise above 3%.
Price cap. I grew up in Nigeria, where there were rolling blackouts every single day. There still are. I know what it's like not to be able to turn on the
back in Nigeria?
So it terrifies me seeing how high bills are going. I think one of the things that we can easily do is remove some of the green levies. We do need to tackle climate change.
Remove them all.
The crisis that we're dealing with now comes first, and we need to make life easier for people. Sometimes government, when it's trying to do good, actually makes life more difficult. I can't imagine what it will be like having energy bills be several thousands of pounds, as some people will be facing. So we must tackle that.
What about a government when it's trying to do bad?
We do need to remove the green energy levy and find a better way of delivering on net zero targets, because we're hammering consumers, but we're also hammering
net
businesses.
Zero right now.
And our number one priority should be getting more economic growth. And the way we're going to do that is through industries, whether it's our ceramics industry, our steel industry, our car industry. All of those are affected by the green levy.
Let's get a grab.
We also need to do better
Jesus Christ,
improving our energy supplies. I'm dealing with the appalling invasion by Vladimir Putin of Ukraine. It's pushed up global energy bills, and it's made us realise how wrong it was for so much of Europe to become dependent on Russian gas. So my view is we need to be gas as a transition fuel, exploiting our reserves in the North Sea.
Monsieur Lewop says Truss has signed up to some net zero BS. Now she's talking about scrapping green taxes.
Small modular nuclear reactors, which are produced in Derbyshire, and that can actually bring jobs and employment to the area as well. So I think we've got a huge challenge ahead But at this very, very difficult time for people, we shouldn't be hammering consumers with the green energy rate.
Okay, let's just clarify. How much will that save off an average bill that's going to go to about £3,500?
Nuclear energy and fracking. Get it done.
£150.
You'll knock a whole £150.
It's £150
off a bill of £3,500.
All of the proposals.
Do you think that's going to solve his problem?
All of the solutions I'm putting forward are about reducing the impact on consumers. We can't completely eliminate it. We are facing very strong global headwinds. But I can assure you, as Prime Minister, I will do everything in my power to make life easier and better for people, whilst taking the difficult decisions that are going to power our economy in the long term, such as investing in the energy we should have invested in years ago, like nuclear, like having more gas energy, like more renewables.
Ask Tom, says Shalini.
She looks like she's being controlled by a puppet master. What is going on with that arm?
We're all facing that. We're all dealing with the cost of living crisis. But what we need is somebody in Downing Street who's prepared to be bold. And I've shown in all of the jobs I've done, I get things done. I'm prepared to be bold. I'm prepared to make the tough decisions.
I don't think you are, Liz.
Consumers as much as we can now with the national insurance and the energy levy.
She's wearing some set of
Tom, you're making faces.
Hold on, Tom.
What was that about?
I was merely expressing slight surprise, but I think one of the things that we should be looking at right now is, indeed, as Rajan says, bringing down bills as quickly as we can. But having called out Putin's criminality and aggression towards us really since 2017, 2018, I'm delighted others are now doing the same. This is something we've been facing for a really long time. Let's be honest. The problem of energy as a weapon against us is not new. This has been going on for years, and that's why I called out Nord Stream 2, that gas pipeline that's supposed to link Russia and Germany. And that's why, when we've been seeing Nord Stream 1 now used as a weapon against Germany,
been shut down, hasn't it?
What we need to be doing is to be bringing down prices now. That's why I've spoken about cutting fuel duty.
That's not right.
But it's also why we've got to look at how we deliver welfare better, how we deliver the household support fund better, and how we make sure that homes like yours are actually insulated. Because although it's hugely important that we get nuclear, fantastic export industry, by the way,
yes,
brilliant for the UK economy. Of course we need to deliver nuclear, of course we need to deliver carbon capture and storage, but today, this year, it's not about jam tomorrow.
It's about a price cap.
So what does welfare better mean? Do you want to increase benefits?
Well, it may mean some targeted benefits, yes, but it doesn't mean it for everybody, because some of us are lucky enough to be able to afford our bills at the moment.
Rishi Sunak.
Well, Rajan, this is a thing that I've been spending the most time on in the last few months that I was Chancellor.
How to fix the fuck up that I made.
Causing the most anxiety for millions of families across the country, because it's going to go up over £1,000.
I saved you 5p at the pump. Go down to the petrol station. It's gone up 5p.
For millions of people to come up with. It's actually impossible for many of them to do so, no matter how hard they work, how many jobs they take.
I'll borrow somebody's kiosks. I look like a man of the people.
So that's why one of the last things I did in this job was to announce a significant amount of support for the country to help get through the autumn and the winter when those bills go up.
It's going to be thousands required, by the way.
As a result of the decisions I took. But the most vulnerable in our society, a third of all households, the people we really want to make sure don't starve and don't go without, are going to receive around £1,200 in the different ways they'll get.
Why are we in a position where households would starve? A third of our households would starve.
And it's right that we target our help on those who...
But average bills are going up again, so should the help go up again?
As I said, no government, no one standing here could pretend that they can solve the whole problem.
Monsieur Lewop says pity Eric Cartman isn't eligible.
That's how we get through the short term. In the long term, the only way to solve this problem is to do two things. One is to improve the energy efficiency of all our homes, and actually as a country, we stand out as having poorly insulated homes.
So John, you need to lean into the mic whilst they're talking if you want to talk.
And we've got money for that, but we need to deploy it to improving insulation to bring your bills down by hundreds of pounds. But also,
he's a non-dom, so where's she going to live if he gets number 10?
Well, yeah, we're doing all those things too.
Did Rishi Sunak do enough?
No!
So I think he has done enough to date, but things are going to be incredibly difficult in the autumn, and it may be the case that this needs to be revisited.
Jesus
but I would point
Christ.
to two other things that we do need to grapple with. And again, people who are taking and particularly shopping around for who their energy supplier
to the point,
is.
woman.
Quite a lot of low-cost
Exactly. It's only half hour left. We've managed to survive an hour of this shit.
Those cost savings are not being passed on to the consumer. There is also an issue where people have moved supplier of the supplier hanging on to credit and are not helping the consumer. And
Sorum says none of them have any answer.
And just a final
there is only
point,
one answer.
And this sounds
it
like
has
a
two
small
words.
amount of money.
John,
but
say
for
it
some
with
people
me.
It's a huge
Price.
amount of money. The way the standing charge is worked out on some bills, I think does need to be looked at.
Does anybody here have more than £150 to give people by getting rid of the green levies? Because bills are going up by hundreds of pounds more than we thought this year, and none of you are saying you won't do anything more. You're sort of hinting.
Hang on, Chris. Just to be clear, actually, the government, and it's wrong that you should mis-worry people on this, because it's really important for people to know that over the course of this year, people are going to receive up to £1,200 of direct help. Yeah, a third of all people, the most vulnerable in our society, whether that's those on benefits, whether it's pensioners or
and what is their average bill?
Right, and it's
what
right.
Is their average bill?
It's right that we can't. You
yeah,
all know
Rishi.
that no government
What's
could
their
credibly
average
honestly
bill,
stand
Rishi?
here and they could say they could make this problem disappear, and it'd be
because
wrong.
£299 on my electric didn't even last fucking 30 days, Rishi.
Is going up by around £1,200. Give or take. We don't know yet, but that's roughly the scale of what the average bill increase is going to be this year versus last year. And those most vulnerable in our society, as a result of the decisions that I took, that this government that we are all a part of did, means that those most vulnerable
the decisions you took meant we are in the position that we are in now.
That's coming.
I think that's absolutely right, but we also need to remember all of this money that we're talking about is still taxpayers' money. It's coming. It's not coming from a magic money tree.
Funny money.
We saw this, and we know that things are going to be difficult. But we also saw.
Did she just use the Theresa May soundbite, the magic money tree?
Money when many weren't working. That also contributed to inflation. All of these things we do have knock-on effects. So we have to be very careful about the solutions that we put forward. We shouldn't be made out as not caring because we're doing the right thing with looking after the country's
Reduce the
finances.
size of the
Finances. The energy rebates and so many of the other things, such as the council tax rebates, which we have given in order to make people's lives easier, are actually difficult decisions that are going to have costs elsewhere.
No.
We must stress that. It isn't right to make it seem as if the government is keeping something away from people. It is your money.
Well, yeah.
Can't blame me because it'll all go shit.
Is the government and all the candidates for government proposing to do enough to ease the cost of living, in particular your energy bills?
Price.
Show of hands if you think they're doing
guy at the
enough.
front wearing the shorts and the fucking mid-calf boots.
2. Okay,
What's going on there?
3, I think, in total. Does that give you pause for thought?
Fashion disaster.
Or do you just think people are always going to want more help?
I think it's an extraordinary
I just punched a spider.
As we all know,
and now we're
grappling with
now I'm bleeding.
once in a generation type inflation. And for anyone to stand here and pretend that it is easy to make
Tom
that
back on. Get off, man.
Is not being honest with you. And I'm not going to do that. But what we can do is target the help that we can afford on those who most need it. That's what we've done. Now everyone will have their own view. People think that £1,200 is not a significant amount of money, fine. But I know, because I spent my time going around the country talking to people about this and figuring out how to help them, I know that there are millions of people who are very grateful for that.
I didn't kill him.
You don't think it's a significant amount of money, Rishi, do you? Really?
I didn't kill him, Shalini. I just punched him.
As said, we are not going to be able to do everything. And the most important thing,
he's fine.
If you care about this, is for us to get a grip of inflation and get it out of our system as quickly as possible. And that's why I'm so worried about promises that mean we should just borrow, because all that's going to do is make this problem worse and make it last for longer, and that is going to make everybody poorer, and that is what the government must avoid doing.
Penny Morgan.
Well, this is kind of sore now. Look at that.
I think that we have to be careful that this contest, and I think this is absolutely right, this contest is not the place. You all want a flavour of the principles that we'll be working on. I'm working on the principles of growth and the ability of this nation to compete. But this is not the place to set a budget or have a fiscal event. I think there is going to be more that needs to be done on cost of living.
Because none of you have any answers.
My priority.
They don't. It's like I said in the chat, it's word soup, it's word salad, it's saying what we need to say to get in the position that we need to.
We have to keep people going, we have to take those stresses away from them, and we have to support the most vulnerable in our society.
OK, we're going to take a break there. Thank you very much indeed. Don't go far, we'll be back very soon.
So what have we now we're in the next break. Where are we at, John? Where are we at? Where's your head at?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure this has had the effect that they've maybe been looking for.
I think what this is, I don't know about the brand new YouTube chat. I can't see it, but the Twitch chat certainly are still very much backing Tom Tugendhat. In fact, Chrissy's last comment in the chat here was just, get Tom back on, right? Like you said, I don't think that... What do you think the effect they were going for was? To sort of hold up Rishi and Penny?
Yeah, well, I think they were looking for some kind of good-natured presidential style debate, right? And it's turned into a fucking slagging match between them. It just shows you how much division there is within the Tory party.
Well, the thing is, there seems to be an ultra left-wing side of the Tory party, and I would actually argue that that would be Rishi Sunak and co, right? Mm-hmm. But Rishi Sunak cannot be trusted with our economy because he's had 2.5 years to show us what he would do to our economy, and he printed billions upon billions of pounds of funny money. And he pumped it into our economy and then caused the inflation and the cost of living crisis to which we currently are a party to. Yep. And I'm not going to let these people lie to you and say anything else other than that caused the problems, because that is it. That is the brass tacks of it. And this is my wheelhouse. I know what I'm talking about.
So Bobby55 in the BNT chat says,
"Hi, Bobby.
Since they changed his energy supplier without his consent last November,
right?
He rang them, Eon, and asked why they're sending him a bill, as he has no contract with them."
That's a very good question, Bobby.
That is a good question, and they have refused to answer him. So he told them he will hold payment until he gets an answer. And he's still waiting a reply.
Well, if you've never signed up to them and you've never signed a contract with them, then surely you can't owe them anything, right?
Oh, you can't. If you've never agreed to be supplied by them, and they've just taken it upon themselves to issue a supply to you, surely then that's down to them, not you. You didn't ask for it.
Obviously,
it's unsolicited goods. It's like if someone puts like. Do you remember the Clean Easy guy that used to come round and put the catalogue through the door?
Absolutely.
Right. So if he puts the catalogue through the door and you don't give him it back, he can't charge you for it.
No.
Because he put it through without solicitation. So you didn't ask for it.
Exactly.
And this is exactly the same thing. In my view, this is exactly the same thing. They're supplying you with fuel without your solicitation. Therefore, why should you pay for it?
Very good question, John. We are back.
Welcome back. Our next question is from Dilini Siriwadana, who is a doctor and has a question on the NHS.
Thank you. How will you deal with the current NHS backlog when the promised targeted funding for this year has still not been delivered to the
Well, you could have been patient.
It is Rishi Sunak's turn to answer first.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Doctor, thank you first of all for what you and all your colleagues and everyone else in the NHS did for us over the last few years. It's heroic.
Get off the NHS. We don't care.
Of gratitude.
The NHS is broken.
The NHS is broken. It is.
So what you do is personal to me. My mum's was a chemist.
What's the percentage of white people that live in
NHS
this country?
GP. So I grew up in a medical family and primary care.
Versus
most of my extended family
the questions asked. You're asking.
So I know how valuable the work you do and what a difference it makes.
What is the percentage of white people that live in the UK?
I'm not sure.
I really believe in the NHS.
In England, it's something like 89%.
Yeah, it's got to be around that. Yeah.
And coming out of COVID, I know the challenges that you're facing. I know that there's people piling up on waiting lists, but I also know
that's been
that you
asked
and your
the
colleagues
question
want to work really hard to get
of an
down
ethnic
and
origin
make sure
other
get the care
than
they need and make sure that we get the social care needed.
You know the reason?
Well,
box ticking, diversity quotas.
During COVID.
Yeah. I think it was one.
As I said, I took what was a difficult decision. It was not a politically convenient
of the
decision,
UK.
as you're seeing tonight. for me to create a new way for us to fund the NHS and social care so that you and your colleagues and everyone who relies on the NHS would have the certainty that it gets the funding it needs, not just today, but for years into the future.
Okay.
So if you want to ask, do I care about the NHS? Am I going to back it? I mean, you know I will, because I've done it at enormous cost to me politically.
Right. It's how you deal with the backlog is the question. Kenny.
Well, the backlog is terrifying. I don't know how much viewers can see my teeth. I chipped my tooth several months ago. I haven't been able to get a dental appointment to fix it.
I know all about that, don't I, John?
Appointments at the moment. I see it in my constituency.
I was removed from my dentist books without being told.
Not getting face-to-face appointments and not being able to get the treatment that they need in hospital.
I'm doing dentistry with super glue.
So many people on waiting lists, and it is an emergency situation. But we feel it too. We understand it. We all use the NHS.
Spencer says I just trod on my tiny violin.
That we have to address now is that the NHS is having more money put into it than ever before. But it also has so many more pressures.
Not so much of a backlog if you've seen patients
with more complex medical needs.
All of those things need to be dealt with in tandem. We don't have an
backlog won't be dealt with if we don't find better and more efficient.
Good effect.
Oh no, my connection's going bad.
Ways of running our NHS. Yes, we need
my
doctors,
connection is
yes,
unstable.
We need nurses, we always do, but there must be things that we can do differently that will improve how we tackle these issues so that people don't have to wait so long to get treatment.
There's many things that we can do. First of all, there are some big things which are slightly more long-term. In addition to being a magician's assistant,
it's on the gimbal. It's in front of the fan.
Organisation in Europe. Prevention
is
a really important
for the minute
of balancing our NHS and making sure it can cope going forward. Secondly,
and we're going down.
Jerky in the stream.
Yeah, it is a bit jerky in the stream. We are struggling here.
We're going down.
I'm going to put it further in front of the fan. There we go. She's back. Come on, Penny.
Dentists and dental chairs sat there waiting in the contracted
hours. We're going to miss Tom.
That provider was working.
No, we're not.
They couldn't use the money to treat patients. They had to open again the weekend,
shut up, Penny.
For example, in order to access that money. That's not sensible. So
what wasn't sensible was cancelling face-to-face appointments.
What we want to do is to treat more patients. And the final thing is innovation. The top 180 innovations that we've had on medical devices and all sorts of stuff that's improving care around the world, how many are used in the NHS?
Let's trust.
None.
Well, clearly the NHS did a fantastic job.
Hold on.
And all the doctors and nurses in the National Health Service
NHS did a fantastic job
during the COVID crisis, but it did displace
for the millions of people walking around there who don't know they have cancer.
Are expecting.
Did a fantastic job for them, did they?
We need to
work
as hard as we can, and I know our health department does this work as hard as we can to reduce that backlog, and that's why the extra money has been put in the NHS. I support the extra money, I just don't support the way we funded it. As you know, I support spreading the COVID debt over a longer period of time. We really also need to help patients in rural areas. I'm a rural MP. Some of the ambulance waiting times in Norfolk
to face-to-face appointments.
Make focused on improving those results, improving
if they're working for the NHS, public money, then they need to do.
We also need to make sure more is available at the GP surgery, so people aren't having to go to accident emergency. They aren't having to go to the hospital. They're getting more service in the local community.
Thank you. Look, the NHS is personal to all of us. When my friends were injured in Afghanistan and they came home, they may have been picked up by the Royal Air Force first, but they were handed over to the NHS for care. So thank you. You brought many of my friends back to life, and for that I will be eternally grateful. It's been an extraordinarily important moment for me. You've also given me 2 children, so I'm also grateful for that.
He's
Not you personally.
He's tugging the hat of the NHS.
Now, there's a reason why. There's a reason why at times of crisis this country often turns to military planners. Because what we're looking for is we're looking to drive leadership and efficiency into processes. We're looking to create order out of what is sometimes a confusing situation. And we've heard that these have been very difficult years, and I must say I pay enormous tribute to you and to your colleagues in the caring professions who've really made life tolerable, helped people stay alive in these last few years.
Yeah,
there's much more we need to do.
The opposite is true for a far greater number of people.
Question, and not a lot of time, so I'm going to ask you to be brief on this. Lindsay Muir is a lecturer from Lincolnshire.
Be brief.
How would you create a green economy?
That's all we understand.
You don't.
I'm very, very committed to delivering on the environment, and it's about reducing the use of carbon and hitting our net zero target.
Why?
But it's also about supporting biodiversity across the country, making sure we're encouraging
you're not doing yourself any favour. Net zero needs
I
to
would
go.
launch,
it does,
as Prime
especially
Minister,
now,
a new survey of nature for the United States.
Are you committed to net zero? By 2050?
I am committed.
Even though you're going to scrap the green line?
I am committed to net zero. I think we could deliver in a better way. I've talked about using more nuclear power, making sure we've got a strong transition. But I think it's very important that the environment is about net zero, but it's also about nature. And currently the Natural Habitats Directive we've inherited from the EU is about nature across Europe. What I want to do is
see the Maldives underwater, John.
Understanding exactly which species are endangered, so we can help solve that issue.
Lord Goldsmith says tonight, any leader seeking to change the net zero pledge in any way is committing political suicide.
Really?
Right,
I think they're actually committing political heroism.
The pledge was made in 2018 for 2050.
I think the people.
It's very easy to set a target which you're not going to be responsible
he's saying that anyone scrapping the net zero pledge is committing political suicide. I think they're committing political heroism. Because in reality, the people that care about this in society are a tiny minority.
If we do damage to our economy, other countries in the world won't follow us.
Didn't say that.
That's what he said.
So you would change our targets.
The target in and of itself doesn't matter. It's the decisions that we make to hit the target that are critical. And many of the decisions that we are making are going to be very difficult for people, whether it's gas boilers or electric cars, transition. We need to do that in a way that doesn't harm everyday people.
Penny Morden, it's about how you get to net zero. Are you committed, for example, to the Carbon Budget 6, which says we will reduce emissions by 78% by 2035. It's a legal requirement.
Why?
Would you hit that?
So the end target, and you're right, it's really important that we hit those interim targets, but we have to also be realistic about what it is going to take to get there. We've already spoken about levies and so forth that are clobbering families and businesses. That does need to be looked at because it is causing problems. But I'd say two other things as well. It also has to contribute towards our industrial renaissance and levelling up. This potentially can deliver thousands of jobs and create, in some cases, new industries for the UK. And the supply side reforms that I spoke about will help us do that. And finally,
John?
It's got to be compatible with our energy security and resilience. That is incredible.
This is nonsense.
Are you committed to all the interim carbon budgets and the net zero targets?
Hold on, Rishi.
Lindsay's question is important, and this is about our future. I have two young girls, and they're not massively bothered about my job. The one thing they ask me about is the environment, Dad. What are you doing about climate change?
Dad, when's the Maldives going to be underwater? They've told us it's meant to have happened 5 times by now, Dad. Dad, when's it going to be underwater, Dad?
I care about the climate and the environment that I'm leaving them. So of course I'm committed to it. We need to make sure that we do it in a way where we bring people with us. If we go at it too hard and too fast and all everyone hears is higher bills, we will not be able to carry people with us. That's not the right way to do it, because we also need to focus on our energy independence along the way. But we can get there, and we can get there in the way that creates jobs and opportunity, and in the end of the day, leave a better future for our kids and grandkids.
He literally just said nothing.
Tom Triggenhart, you've talked about flex in our green commitments. What does that mean? Are you going soft on them?
What I've spoken about, no, I'm clear on the net zero target, but what I've spoken about is actually things like carbon offshore pricing, to make sure that what we don't do is cut carbon emissions here in the UK and see jobs go to China. What we don't see is the punishment of British workers for higher standards. What we don't see is steel industries closing down because other people use dirty coal and we're not allowed to. What we need to make sure is that when we set rules, we don't allow others to undercut them with cheaper prices. What we need to make sure is we maintain standards everywhere. Because around the world, it doesn't matter where the carbon comes from. It's going into the same atmosphere.
That's what you want.
And it's poisoning the same planet.
That's the only way you get that.
You can't have that
around the world. And that's why I'm talking about an energy
resilience. That's a pipe dream.
One of the
because
most
what we really need to see is we need to see the move to green energy here.
I know, and he was doing so well, wasn't he?
Off the northeast
of
Scotland.
Destroyed
we
your
need the nuclear
credibility,
power stations, but we also need to see them exported. You know, the work that the Department of Trade has been doing in the last week in exporting, or helping to export, I hope very soon, nuclear power stations to Poland, small-scale reactors, is going to make a huge difference here in Europe and around the world. Now, that's
why would we be exporting nuclear reactors to Poland? Build them here.
Well, all of that's about
selling gas to Europe.
Lindsay's absolutely right.
Build
but the
them
green
here.
economy doesn't work if it's just in these islands. These islands are precious to me and deeply, deeply personal to me. But the atmosphere doesn't really mind about what I think. It matters where the carbon is. And the carbon in the atmosphere needs to come down all over the world. And that's why we need to be working around the world, and we need to be holding other countries to the same standards as we are, or taxing them appropriately.
We're going to hear some closing statements in a minute. Before we do, very quick show of hands.
Look what I've done to my hair, John.
Let's see.
You're floating very...
This is how I feel.
Has tonight made you more likely to vote Conservative?
China.
Hold on.
Takes cognizance of that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're thinking about it.
I told you this would happen.
Okay. Well, that tells you something. Now it's time for the candidates to make their final pitches. Each of them will have 45 seconds to spell out why they believe they're the best person to be Britain's next Prime Minister. We have drawn lots for the order. And
Spoiler alert.
Kenny Badenoch.
They're not.
Thank you, Christian. It's time to tell the truth. The truth is, unless we change, we will fail. I love this country.
Salad?
I chose it when I was 16. It is the best place in the world. Nowhere else on the planet would give me the opportunity, standing in front of the nation, asking for the honor of being the leader of the government. And yet, our country can still be so much better. Better for those working hard to make ends meet, like I did on minimum wage, flipping burgers at McDonald's all those years ago. Better for all our children. I will fight as hard for yours as I do for my 3 kids, protecting their future by looking after our environment, improving schools, and creating a strong economy. And
I care about the economy, not the environment.
The machine is not working. As an engineer, I know how to strip things down and get them to work. And with me as your Prime Minister, we will have the change for the better. And that's the honest truth.
Well,
Tom Tudor.
Thank you very much for watching this evening, because this evening isn't actually about us. It's not just about the Conservative Party. It's about you, your country, and your Prime Minister. So please get in touch with your MP and tell them what you think. Tell them who you want to support in the final 2 of the Conservative leadership round. Because the country is going through a crisis at home and challenges abroad. What we're seeing around the world is we're seeing division and disunity, and we can pull people together. What we can do is we can turn this around.
I mean, we can.
Now, we know that people are asking the right question. People tonight have been asking the right question. We need a clean start. We all know that. But some of us have the answer. Some of us have the answer tonight. Now, I have a track record of leadership. I have led on operations and I have led in Parliament. And now,
Rishi had no answers. He just made things up.
But Tom's a
I'm very aware that while my party chooses a new leader, you are watching us pick your next Prime Minister. And that is why this contest must be about you.
That is why Bill Gates wrote the foreword in my book.
And your ambitions and your immediate worries. And as a Conservative, I hope you like at least one of us. But it should matter to you. So
I mean, I don't like any of them.
At some point, all of you will have a vote, and you will see that not all politicians are the same. I'm not the traditional offer. I'm not the legacy candidate. I'm
the one
on
that
the
Bill
future,
chose.
And I want our nation to be all it can be and to shine with the newfound freedoms.
And by 2030, I want you to own nothing and be happy.
We've had a robust debate tonight, but we agree on much. We all want to cut taxes so people keep more of their own money.
You think
we all want to improve public services. We all want secure borders. But the choice at this election is who can be trusted to grip this moment and get things done.
Not you, you duplicitous snake!
And be in no doubt, we are going to build a better future for our children and grandchildren. But nothing worth having ever comes easy. So the question is simple. Do we confront the challenges facing our country honestly and responsibly, or not? For me, there is only one answer.
Thank you. Mistrust.
Oh God,
we
it's the warmonger.
grave challenges as a country. The worst economic crisis for a generation. An appalling war perpetrated by Russia in Ukraine after decades of very slow growth. Now is not the time for a continuity of our current economic policy.
I don't know.
We need to be bold.
The blinky blinky.
We need to do things differently. We need to cut taxes. We need to unleash growth. And we need to unleash the potential of all of the people across our great country.
And you can't
I'm
do
somebody
that.
who can go into Downing Street on day one and get the job done. I've got a record of delivery in every department I've been in, whether it's striking trade deals with Australia and Japan.
Thank you very much. And that's it. Time is up. Thank you for watching. Thank you to the audience here. Thank you, of course.
Sod off, Krishnan.
I don't like him.
I've stopped the screen share already. It's over. Right, so before we do let the people go, what did we think of that, John?
It's a shit show. It's a shit show, isn't it?
Well, I hope you preferred watching it with us.
Yeah, it's like airing your dirty laundry in public. It really is.
What I don't understand, and I've asked this question 2 or 3 times already, is why did this even happen?
I'm telling you, some clown in the Tory party has thought, if we get these people on here, we can find out what one the public like, and then we can get them in, because that's the person they'll be vote for for the next election.
So
let's face it, it doesn't matter who they pick, because they're really not making any decisions. They're just following the narrative.
Well, yeah, the agenda rolls on, as we always say.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter who's actually in pick. They just want someone who's electable. So I think none of them did themselves really any great shakes there. Kemi Badenoch, just to me, seems very superficial. She's not got any depth.
Well, I don't think that any of them are capable.
No,
I really don't.
Okay, but in particular, she has no depth.
No, none.
There's no depth to it. She comes out with the same thing for every question.
Rishi Sunak.
We don't have any answers, but there'll be knock-on effects. Of whatever we do.
Well, Rishi was largely the same.
Yeah, but Rishi's a career politician. He's been there longer. He's done it for longer, so he knows how to say absolutely nothing while saying,
words.
Yeah, basically.
Liz Truss.
She's just a warmonger.
I mean, she really is.
I mean, she's still talking about the Ukrainian war. And what's that got to do with us? In real terms, what's it got to do with us?
Well, absolutely nothing, John, in real terms.
Nothing.
Unless, of course, she wants to take us into that war.
Yeah, well, that's a worry.
I tell you what's a bigger worry to me is the quotation she's made about arming Taiwan, John.
No.
That would be a far bigger mistake in my view.
I'm telling you, I mean, all you need to do is go back and watch that video. World War III.
Yeah, and I've done a video about it as well.
China's just gagging for it. Absolutely,
they are. And then we have Penny Mordaunt. What did you think of her, John?
She looks like she should be on the front cover of Horse and Hound.
She was on Splash at one time.
Yeah, I don't rate her at all. She's just a waffler.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finally, Tom Tugend-Hat.
He gave me promise at the start. He was saying the right things. He was quite witty. He had this wee bit of Hugh Grant delivery there, so he was probably appealing to the slightly older ladies. But he just gave it all away with that last statement. He was so naive and such a globalist show.
So one more question before we start to wrap things up, John.
Yeah.
How screwed are we?
Oh, hey, we're screwed. We're screwed. This is probably about the state of the Conservative Party just before they elected Blair.
Well, you mean Labour Party?
No.
The Labour Party elected Blair.
Yes, the Labour Party elected Blair. But what I'm saying, the Conservative Party fucking fell apart, and the public elected Labour, right? And Blair was the right.
Well,
this is the state of the Conservative parties in now. It's going to fall apart.
Well, it's already fallen apart.
We're going to end up with a fucking Labour government.
Yeah, it's already fallen apart.
If it's Keith,
we're screwed.
We're fucked.
Yep, we're absolutely screwed. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for laughing along with us, and one more time, just for legal reasons, and we will appeal if anybody tries to do anything. This was entirely fair use. We provided sometimes witty, sometimes frustrated, extensive commentary throughout. In fact, at some points, the people in the Twitch chat were telling us to provide less commentary, but we had to do it for legal reasons. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed being with us, and if you did, and you aren't subscribed on whatever platform you're watching, do that now, please. Also, tell your friends. Tell 2 friends, and they'll tell 2 friends, and they'll tell 2 friends, and you know how it is. And also, if you are feeling a little bit more generous, you can subscribe to us from as little as £1 a month at patreon.com.
£1
/Chasing Dissent, or subscribestar.com/Chasing Dissent. And if you are new to this, then we are live every Wednesday, Thursday and Sunday at 8 PM with our live shows, and most days, if we are able to, you will get off-stream videos on YouTube, brand YouTube, wherever. So John, do your closing whilst I set up.
Well, thank you one and all for attending this special from Chasing Dissent, where we looked at the Conservative leadership debate, a presidential style affair, which turned into a bit of a rabble at times, and really, I don't think got anything of any kind of import across to the public in general.
No,
I think all it's done is expose a multitude of weaknesses.
Yeah.
So yes, I'd like to thank you for attending this, and it's good night from me.
See you Sunday. Good night from me. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
That's all we've got time for this evening, so it's good night from me, and it's good night from him. Good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Stop playing with my bust!
Good night, everyone.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy.
You're a what? A pianist!
Mwah! Good night, everybody.
You have been a delightful audience to talk. Good night. Thank you.
Oh, my bottom hurts. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Tim Bob.
Oh, I did love that hamster so. I took it into bed with me every night, you know.
Good night, everybody.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have to go now. I've been standing here for a very long time. I think the end of the show must have come and gone.
There you go. That's our solar system. You forgot Uranus. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening. You've been very nice to work to.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.